Imagine a single moment that forever alters the course of human history, a moment so destructive that it still reverberates through the annals of time. This is the story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the early 40s of the 20th century, the world found itself engulfed in the second global conflict within a span of 3 decades. World War II, sparked by the aggression of Nazi Germany, soon spread its deadly fire across continents, pulling nations into a vortex of violence and destruction. As the war raged on, the United States of America, initially a non-belligerent, was thrust into the fray by the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by Japan. This attack ignited a fierce retaliation, which eventually led to the unimaginable: the decision to employ a weapon of mass destruction, the atomic bomb. Behind closed doors, in laboratories scattered across the United States, a project of unprecedented scale and secrecy was underway. This project, known as the Manhattan Project, brought together some of the finest minds of that era. Their mission: to harness the destructive power of the atom, forging it into a weapon that could bring the war to an abrupt end. The Manhattan Project was born out of fear and necessity, fear that the Axis powers, particularly Nazi Germany, were developing their own atomic weapons, and the necessity to preempt this potential threat. The result of this project was a weapon so powerful, so devastating, that it would forever alter the landscape of warfare. The culmination of countless hours of research and testing was the creation of 2 atomic bombs, codenamed Little Boy and Fat Man. These were not just weapons, they were harbingers of a new age, an age of atomic power and nuclear warfare. As the world held its breath, the stage was set for an event that would forever change humanity. August 6th and 9, 1945, are forever etched in history as the days when time stood still in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On these 2 fateful days, the course of human history took a sharp, tragic turn. The Second Sino-Japanese War was drawing to a close, and the world was on the brink of a new era. But before the dawn of peace, there was a moment of unimaginable darkness. On August 6th, Hiroshima, a vibrant city on the coast of Japan, was struck by the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy. The immediate impact was catastrophic. Buildings crumbled, fires erupted, and in an instant, the city's vibrant life was replaced by a silence that was deafening. 3 days later, Nagasaki met a similar fate, struck by Fat Man, another atomic bomb. The city, once bustling with activity, was left in ruins. The devastation was unprecedented, the destruction absolute. The casualties from these 2 bombings were staggering. Estimates suggest that between 129,000 and 226,000 people perished, most of them civilians. The death toll was not limited to the immediate aftermath. Countless others succumbed to injuries and radiation sickness in the days, weeks, and months that followed. The scale of human suffering was beyond comprehension. These bombings marked the first and only time nuclear weapons have been used in an armed conflict. They served as a chilling reminder of the destructive potential of human innovation and posed profound questions about the limits of warfare. In the blink of an eye, 2 cities were reduced to rubble, and hundreds of thousands of lives were extinguished. In the wake of the bombings, the world was left to grapple with the devastating aftermath. The immediate fallout from the bombings was a sight of unparalleled destruction, a landscape forever scarred by the immense power of nuclear weaponry. Japan, already reeling from the toll of the Second Sino-Japanese War, had no choice but to surrender unconditionally to the Allies on September 2nd, 1945. This marked the end of the war, a conflict that had ravaged the world for 6 long years. But as the dust settled on the ruins of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it was clear that the end of the war was not the end of suffering. The bombings had unleashed a force unlike any other, one that would continue to wreak havoc long after the initial blasts. Those who had survived the immediate destruction were now faced with a new and terrifying adversary: radiation sickness. In the months and years following the bombings, survivors, known as hibakusha, were plagued by the effects of radiation. Symptoms ranged from nausea and vomiting to hair loss and severe burns. Many developed cancers and genetic disorders, their bodies forever marked by the invisible enemy that had been unleashed upon their cities. But the physical ailments were just one aspect of the long-term effects. The psychological trauma was equally, if not more, devastating. The survivors lived in constant fear of the unknown, their futures uncertain. The impact extended beyond the Hibakusha. Their descendants too were affected. The fear of potential genetic effects of radiation exposure loomed large, casting a long shadow over future generations. The bombings had not just destroyed two cities, they had forever altered the course of countless lives. Yet amid the devastation, there was resilience. The survivors, despite their suffering, fought on, their spirit unbowed by the horrors they had endured. Their stories serve as a stark reminder of the human capacity for survival, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki marked the end of the war, but for the survivors and their descendants, a new battle had just begun. This battle continues to this day, a silent war fought against the lingering effects of a tragedy that shook the world over 7 decades ago. The aftermath of the bombings is more than just a chapter in history. It is a testament to the enduring human spirit and a stark warning against the horrors of nuclear warfare. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain one of the most contentious events in human history. The use of atomic weapons on these cities in August 1945 marked the end of the Second Sino-Japanese War and the beginning of an ethical debate that continues to this day. For some, the bombings were a necessary evil. The Allies had been preparing for a costly invasion of the Japanese mainland, a battle that could have resulted in an unimaginable number of casualties on both sides. By forcing Japan into immediate surrender, the bombings in this viewpoint saved lives in the long run. Others, however, argue that the bombings were an excessive use of force. They point out that the majority of the victims were civilians, between 129,000 and 226,000 people. The scale of the devastation, they argue, was disproportionate to the military advantage gained. This viewpoint holds that the bombings were not only morally wrong, but also a violation of international law, which prohibits attacks that cause excessive harm to civilians. This debate is not just academic, it has far-reaching implications for international relations and nuclear policy. On one hand, the bombing showed the world the destructive power of nuclear weapons, serving as a deterrent to their use in future conflicts. On the other hand, they also set a precedent for the use of such weapons in warfare, a precedent that many nations have striven to prevent from being repeated. The bombings also sparked a global arms race, as nations sought to develop their own nuclear arsenals to protect themselves or to gain a strategic advantage. This has led to a world where several nations possess nuclear weapons, raising the stakes of international conflicts and increasing the risk of nuclear war. While the debate continues, one thing remains clear: the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki have left an indelible mark on human history. They serve as a stark reminder of the devastating power of nuclear weapons and the ethical dilemmas that arise when such power is wielded. As we move forward, it is crucial that we remember these events and learn from them so that we can navigate the complex and often murky waters of international relations and warfare with wisdom and prudence. From the ashes of destruction, Hiroshima and Nagasaki have risen, embodying the resilient spirit of humanity. The transformations these cities have undergone are nothing short of miraculous. Once devastated by the most destructive force known to man, they are now bustling metropolises, pulsating with life and vitality. Hiroshima, the city that once bore the brunt of the first atomic bomb, is now a thriving urban center, home to over 1 million people. Its Peace Memorial Park, built at the very epicenter of the atomic blast, serves as a silent reminder of the lives lost and the city's commitment to peace. Nagasaki too has risen from its ashes. It has reinvented itself as a city of culture and innovation, a place where tradition and modernity coexist. The Nagasaki Peace Park, with its iconic peace statue, is a poignant symbol of the city's past and its unwavering dedication to a future free from nuclear weapons. But these cities are more than just symbols of resilience. They are living memorials to the horrors of nuclear warfare, reminders of a past that we must never forget, lest we repeat it. Every year, on the anniversaries of the bombings, they host solemn ceremonies attended by people from around the world to commemorate the victims and to advocate for peace and nuclear disarmament. The cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki stand today not just as a reminder of the horrors of war, but also as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and our capacity for hope and renewal. The story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is more than a tale of destruction. It's a story of survival, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of peace. We've journeyed through the unthinkable reality, the days of destruction, the aftermath, the ethical debates, and the rise of the Phoenix cities. These events underscore the importance of remembering Hiroshima and Nagasaki, not just as historic events, but as a stark reminder of the devastating power of nuclear weapons. It's a call to humanity, a plea for peace and understanding. If you're enjoying our videos, please consider supporting us by liking and subscribing. It truly makes a difference for us. Thank you.